The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, kinda power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast, a weekly show about all things Port Adelaide Footy Club. I'm your host, Macca 19, and joining me as co-host, we got Fishing Rick. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. You?
Yeah, pretty good.
Better late than never, Macca.
Absolutely. And on the podcast for the first time, we got Dylan 8.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good, mate.
Jeez.
Good to have you on.
Better late than never is an understatement.
That's it. All right, as it's your first time on the podcast, Dylan, do you want to give us a bit of a background about how you became a Port supporter?
Yeah, I'm from Melbourne and lived in Melbourne, so, I mean, not exactly your typical Port supporter, but I just had a natural affinity for watching guys like Byron, Treaders, Burgoyne and Wangers when I was growing up, so, you know, I guess I just fell in love with them.
Absolutely.
And Dad was a Collingwood supporter, didn't try to force them on me, but he didn't really mind that I was supporting Port because, you know, he said at least they're kind of the Magpies.
That's it. And what about your favourite match?
It's a tough split. Either the 2007 Cardinia Park game, or Showdown 35.
Nice.
Yeah, you couldn't go past that CC goal, could you?
Absolutely.
Both heart stoppers.
Indeed. And your favourite player?
From the past, I think Pickett. He was the guy who really just watching him play got me into Port straight up. Chad Corns. Currently, I probably got to go with Hartlett. When he's on song, he's just probably my favourite player in the league to watch.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant.
Nice. All right, well, let's get on to our love and hate, which is one thing we loved, one thing we hated in and around Port Adelaide this week. Dylan, mate, I might throw to you first with this. What was your love and hate?
Well, my love's got to be Bokey's comments about Chaplin today. But the best thing about it was he was probably the only bloke in the field who could actually back up a little bit of shit talking off the field.
Yep.
But yeah, that was good to hear him actually have a bit of bite in him. Very nice guy.
Yep, absolutely. He had a good game. He had a great game.
Very good.
Captain's game.
Absolutely. And any sort of criticism of Troy Chaplin, I welcome with open arms.
No doubt.
And what was your hate?
As part of the game, Westhoff taking a kick out was just absolutely bizarre, and it was just one of those things. After a already pretty poor day at the footy, you just see it and you think, what the hell are we doing?
Yep.
What about his lack of? You could even go his lack of marking influence for the game.
Even then, I mean, yeah, he's been dropping contested marks for weeks, months now.
Yep.
But he's that bloke when he up the field.
Indeed.
I got nothing, Macca.
Nothing.
I got no loving this week. I've got to say I'm going to be a bit harsh, but
That's fair enough.
I'm a bit disappointed with our footy club as overall. Very underwhelming performances, and you know, I mean, we could slap them on the back and say, you know, good effort, boys, but you know, I think we deserve more than that, and we've lost to teams that were respectively all out of the 8 when we play them, and we should have done better, and we haven't for whatever reason, which we'll probably address shortly. But yeah, so no love for me, and there's plenty of things to hate. You know, our leaders not being there, Kane Corns with that pathetic whatever it was, I don't even know what it was. Selections, there's a whole lot.
That's fair enough. I've scrounged around, dug pretty deep for my love. I'm going to say the first game for the year of Jake Johansson in the SANFL. He had a ripper. It's great to have him back in the side again. He had 29 touches. As we know, he's on state duty and had such a fantastic carnival. But it's fantastic to have him playing for Port Adelaide again. And my hate this week is our tackling method. It's just not good enough. You know, we rarely block the arms. On the weekend, all we did seem to do was just grab the shirt and swing them around like school kids, you know. Richmond were really able to keep their hands free with quite ease, and it just wasn't good enough. And it really gave Richmond an extra sort of second or two to dispose of the ball effectively.
And you can just see that it's a real departure from what we were doing at the start of the season. I mean,
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we all know that we can tackle really, really hard. We just didn't do it at all on the weekend.
Even the Bulldogs game, we had a fantastic tackling game. It's just disappeared.
Mm.
We got the power to win, power to roll. Come on, Port Adelaide aggression. We are the power from Port.
Well, look, let's get on to our review. As we know, we played Richmond at Etihad Stadium on Sunday. We lost by 20 points, 16 goals 10 to 19 goals 12. Robbie Gray continued his fantastic form this year with 4 goals. And the Cobra Broadbent, Schultze and Matty White kicked 2 goals each. Dylan, mate, you're at the game. Do you want to give us a bit of a quick review of what happened?
Oh, where to begin? I think, we had a chance to be in the game, I think, late in the third, where Ollie Wines was running in on goal, Pittard was running in on goal, and both missed. And there was our opportunity floundered in an already disappointing game. You feel we should be able to close out a game, even if we're not performing that well. You know, we're just that high caliber side nowadays. But yeah, I don't know what's happened with the boys.
Well, where did it go wrong, guys? Is it time to hit the panic button?
No, not yet. A couple of stats I took and I noticed at the game was our effort in the air at a 50-50 contest. Like we never seemed to win them on the weekend.
Yep.
I think they took six more contested marks than us. It was 7 to 13. So I mean that's just, you can't have that. And where is Ebert? Usually he's popping around the ground to take these contested marks, and he wasn't anywhere today. The other day.
I mean, they pointed out with the love-hate, though. I mean, Westhoff, where I don't think he took a mark for the second half. And he's one of our biggest guys on the team and one of our focal targets, even up the field, and he's not really influencing the play. So what's going on there?
Yeah. At the start of the year, he was clunking contested mark after contested mark, and the past month or even couple of months, he just... Every time he goes for a mark, it seems to just slip out. I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, he's only taken... Oh, he's still taking some contested mark. He's only taken 3 in the last 3 weeks, though. I don't know. Where did it go wrong? For me, it's pretty clear that the midfield was really, really disappointing on the weekend. They just didn't turn up at all from Lobie in the ruck. All the way through to our clearance-winning mids. They just didn't get the job done, except for Boki. He had a fantastic game. You know, we lost the hit-outs convincingly. We were 9 down in clearances, 10 down in inside 50s, and almost or over 30 down in contested possession. So we really got bossed around the midfield.
Yeah, and on those contested possessions, I think we had only 3 players with over 10 contested possessions, and they had 7. I mean, one of our players with that was Lobie. I mean, where are the midfielders?
Absolutely, we had a lot of players down, and I think if we go to the big elephant in the room, I think our coaches have been down. You know, I wish my couch was down. I'd like to be able to sit on it more, but the coaches are really being exposed over the last few weeks.
Yep. We've got to say, this stubbornness with selections and not going told, did it really cost us on the weekend?
Absolutely. They killed us inside 50.
Yeah.
You could see that we were lacking a tall inside 50.
We're discussing this now, but I mean, it's been happening for weeks and weeks, and the forums have clearly covered it, but nothing ever changes, and we're losing and losing and losing. It's baffling.
Well, I made a comment yesterday that I feel like almost the coaches have painted themselves into a corner where they didn't want to select these tall backup players earlier, and now we're getting to a point where there's so much on the line come finals and everything else that it's almost impossible to select those players now because there's too much to lose, and we haven't installed enough faith in those boys early enough. And so really, they've sort of, now it's that old saying of, you're going to cut off the nose to spite your face, but they've got I would have preferred we play a Butcher or Shaw, even if they weren't ready, and just said, look, boys, we're going to give you an opportunity, and kept our structure instead of, I don't know what we're doing. and we're starting to get exposed to it. But at the end of the day, as you pointed out, Macca, our midfield's getting smashed, and most of our key midfielders are still there. So what's going on?
I mean, in that first half, what's Butcher or Shaw going to do? The ball was just streaming out of the midfield so quickly, and it's literally spent almost the entire of the second quarter up in their forward line. So I'm not sure what another tall forward would have done then. I think it was pretty clear in the second half when we had Westhoff move to the back lines and Schulze was up on the wing most of the time, and he was looking up, and who did he have to kick to? He had good midgets like Sammy Gray and Mitchell, and other smalls like Robbie Gray and Matty White up there, and all you need is a tall target just to sort of patrol that 50-metre line and see what can happen.
Well, I think that Matty White goal, as spectacular as it was, sort of showed off that problem that he had to run that far and take his own shot rather than pass it off because there was absolutely no one forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Pittard shot at goal was woefully appalling. I'll even say that. It's a big Pittard fan, but
Rick,
what was also
first shot at goal in the history of the sport.
No, I reckon I've seen some worse. I reckon Hampson missed one dead out in front and kicked it out on the ball. But what was even worse was the umpiring decision afterwards, where about 2 seconds after he kicked it, he gets shoved in the back, pushed to the ground basically. Should have been a free kick, but they didn't even pay it. But he probably didn't deserve it, considering how bad that.
The umpire probably said, if you kick that bad, you don't deserve a bloody another shot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, but Ollie Wines' shot wasn't much better either, but at least he got a score.
No.
But look,
you could tell from the start when Schulze had a shot in the first couple of minutes and missed a pretty straightforward shot for Jay Schultz. You could sort of sense a bit of foreboding from there, I think.
But I thought Loby's output was pretty much down as well as an influencing ruckman. Is he feeling the pinch potentially because we're not carrying enough tools either?
I would think so. It's been a pretty long season for Loby. He had 1 week off when Renouf came in, but apart from that, he's had not a whole lot of support. Apart from the odd sort of 3 or 4 minute chop out here and there. The only worry is that if he does stay fit for the rest of the year, what's he going to be like come finals time? Is he going to be too fatigued?
Well, that's absolutely right. And I guess what's going to be the interesting test, which isn't really talking about Richmond at the moment, but is probably how we back up, not against Melbourne, but the week after the bye. I think that's going to be a true indication to where we're at. If we come out flat, well, we're pretty much cooked for the season, I reckon. If we come out up and running, well, then we still might be in it. But, all these rumours about are they in a high training mode or aren't they, got to hope so. But I just find it farcical that we would jeopardise a finals campaign to flog the shit out of some players.
Yeah, I'm getting a real sense of sort of Adelaide Crows 2006 at the moment. They were sitting well clear on top of the ladder, I think 2 or 3 games clear on top as well, when they upped their training ante and bit them on the bum.
So it's just not worth it if we're going to lose that leverage on the competition with a top 2 spot or even top 4 at this point.
As for something that Ford said or sort of intimated towards after the game, and I agree 100%, is that for the first sort of 10 to 12 weeks, we were the real underdog. No one really sort of rated us. We just kept winning. We had to win, and we kept putting ourselves out there. We beat, big name teams, like we beat Geelong, we beat Freo, we beat Hawthorn. We said, hey guys, we are the real deal this year. And it seems that ever since we beat Hawthorn and got close to Sydney that day, it seems like everyone's sort of rested on their laurels a bit and sort of believe that they are good enough. And
that's exactly right.
Work hard.
So they've read their own press for a little while.
Indeed, absolutely.
But you would have thought after losing to Adelaide that would have been enough of a wake-up call. Again, we sort of follow up the Adelaide showdowns not very well, so you could argue the Essendon game. But, the Richmond game was pretty deplorable to me, really. And I guess the only argument you could mount in favour of us is, I guess, all of those 3 teams have been fighting for something. Adelaide was fighting for a final spot when we played them, and they're an experienced side who was sort of coming back to more peakish form mid-season. Same with Essendon, where they've sort of struggled to get a groove, and they're starting to get one together again, and they've really got the passion to try and make the 8. And and I guess Richmond were playing to try and knock off the tall poppy. And I guess, unfortunately for us, we haven't been able to handle that pressure, and we haven't really had enough fight to want to protect that top spot. And that's where I'm really disappointed at the moment as a supporter, because we could still be in top spot and the game clear if the boys were focused, and we seem to have lost that focus, and we've given up that opportunity. Now, it's not the end of the world. I mean, footy's a great game. Come back this week and play well and have a convincing win against Melbourne, have the break, and we might come back out all firing all cylinders, and off we go. But it's going to be an interesting point. But I think our midfield really needs to stand up. And I had a quick chat to Macca, and I really thought our underages are underperforming at the moment. Wingard's down, Wines is dropping off a little bit. Pittard's starting to, maybe drop off just a tad. Polek's starting to fall off or fall away a little bit as well. So it's all those underage boys which seem to be falling off the radar a little bit. Is the season starting to catch up with them? Should we be maybe monitoring, or should have we been a little bit more proactive and maybe rested them a game or two 4 to 5 to 6 games ago and given them an opportunity to refresh a little bit? Geez, that was long. Sorry, fellas.
Well, I guess a lot of those guys have had a bit of a break due to all the ankle injuries that we've had.
Did Wingard have a break?
I think Wingard's missed games. I think Polek's missed games. Impey's missed games. It's only really Wines which has played the whole season.
He's still accumulating the ball. He's probably obviously the standout of the youngsters. But, I mean, he hasn't really slowed down. Maybe his ball use hasn't been up to scratch, but he's still accumulating it.
Yeah, he hasn't slowed down in terms of his numbers, that's for sure.
Well, it's a very good point, which also sides to fatigue, is our ball use in general, even from our experienced players. Our ball use seems to be underwhelming at this point in time, whereas I think back to, every game before round 10, we would have been the most efficient and well-drilled ball-using side. It was like we just had the ball on a string, and, we were hitting targets left, right and centre, into advantage, on the chest, whatever. And now we seem to be handballing to the feet or missing the targets or fumbling. Jasper's fumble, which resulted in a goal, wasn't great. I mean, the kick wasn't fantastic to start it either, and they're basic fundamentals. So, is it a fatigue thing, or have we just dropped off a little bit and lost a bit of confidence now as well?
I think we've dropped off all across the board. I mean, our goal kicking's terrible. We're not running as hard enough as what we were. Contested possessions are well down. Uncontested possessions are well down. Our defence is a bit of a shambles. The coaching staff are a little bit stubborn. All across the board, we've just dropped off that 5 to 10%, and you can't afford to do that.
Yeah, on the ball use, I'm not really sure what we're doing trying to get out of the back lines. There's a lot of handballing around and getting stuck. I don't know if that's because of positioning up the field, if there's no options. I don't know if it's because there's no tools to kick to, but we just seem to not be able to move the ball out of the back line.
No, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
And we spoke about it last week as well. Our kick to handball ratio is way too even at the moment, and especially from the earlier part of the season, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And you might be on the money. Maybe it is the lack of forward targets or the forward structure, and we're not taking that direct route to goal because we're sort of stalling with our ball movement, waiting for players to get back into position.
I think we're still trying to play the same style that we were playing at the start of the year. We're still trying to handball, but I think teams have sort of clicked onto that and aren't giving us the space to use it properly. Yeah,
but okay, so what do we have to do? Where are we? Where's the turning point for us? Do we have to draw a line in the sand? The cliche we heard for the last 6 years, or is it just getting on the trading track and working hard, which I'm sure they are, or is there something that we can do to change it around? I mean, to me, it still comes back to what everyone's thinking. I just feel like we just have to have John Butcher in the side just to free up Westhoff to make him more influential.
Teams need to be proactive. I mean, no premiership team has won based on the one single game plan for the entire year. You know, game plans are constantly evolving. I'm not sure that ours is at the moment, and it really needs to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the game plan that's the problem or opposition teams figuring it out. I think it's just the execution of it. And with poor ball use, it sort of just doesn't come off at all. You really have to have that precision ball movement or it gets you nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, once again, we had more handballs than kicks. I don't think that's ever a good thing.
No, it's not. Probably only Mick Noonan would probably be the only one to argue. But I just see John Butcher. He's a great alias for is that the right word? Alias, not foe. What is it, Macca? What am I thinking of?
Foliage. I don't know.
Accomplice. Good accomplice for Westhoff. I am tired. I've done 2 14-hour days in a row. But yeah, he's a good accomplice for Westhoff, and Westhoff's the third tall forward for my liking, and he's not a second tall forward. And I think we're just sort of breaking down. And when we were up and running and 102% or whatever you want to call it, it was all right. We could hide the fact that we had that one less tall, and Tringo was probably an influence for us as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look forward to the draft discussions that we have in the future about what our strategy might be as a footy club.
Well, look, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and preempt what might happen on Thursday night. Even though our forward line was a bit of a shambles, we still kicked 16 goals, which pretty much every other game this year we would have won with that scoreline.
Yes.
I don't think the another tall forward is necessarily like going to work any miracles because, I mean, you're getting another tall forward, it frees up Westhoff, yeah, but I mean, does that fix him missing all those shots on goal? Does it fix his contested marking, even his uncontested marking where he's slipping up? Yeah, I don't really know.
But it will allow our crummers to be crummers again instead of tall marking targets in the forward line.
I think the thing that really cost us on the weekend was the lack of a proper tall defender, like a third tall defender. Once again, we had to play Jonas on someone that was 14 centimetres taller than him. And he really struggled against Vickery, and that's why we had to throw Westhoff down back. Just because Jonas couldn't perform the job that the coaching staff are trying to expect him to do, which I don't think he's capable of doing.
One of the biggest farces I've ever seen on a football field was just having to see Chaplin, their centre-half back, playing in the forward line against our centre-half forward because we just had to man him up. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So instead of being a complete bitch cast, should we have a bit of a positivity session as well?
Yeah, well, who are your best players, guys?
I'll start this one. I think pretty obviously Boak's the standout number one.
Yep.
Robbie Gray, excellent effort up forward. You can't fault 4 goals, can you? And Matty White against his old side just tried, and he got forward and he created. Schultz, I got to give to Schultz. I mean, he battles with the most ridiculous forward structure every week, and he can still, slot a couple of goals. So I mean, props to him. And I thought, this one might be a bit controversial, but Pittard, I thought when he used the ball, when he ran, that sort of helped us because we just couldn't get it out of the defence.
Yep.
And when Pittard ran, I thought, at least he's creating something.
Definitely.
And he did have a couple of errors, but I mean that's just standard Pittard, isn't it?
Yeah. What about you, Rick?
Look, I was proud to watch Travis play, really, as a Port Adelaide player and a captain. I thought he was fantastic. And, I mean, he really tried to pull us over the line. He couldn't have done anything more than what he did. And, as supporters, I think we'd all be in awe of his efforts. I mean, a couple of years ago, we were questioning where he was at, working off a tag. And, but I mean, what he did on Saturday was just fantastic. And, yeah, I mean, what else could you ask, really? It was a perfect game in a losing side, and I hope he gets rewarded with the Brownlow medal, 3 votes for this round, because he probably deserved it out of all the players on the field. Yeah, look, I guess it was hard for me because Robbie Gray's been so influential with the ball, and so to see his output down in possession lines, but to get the goals, again, it was a good effort, and look, after that, don't know, give everyone else half a vote to allocate it out evenly.
That's fair enough. For me, yeah, definitely Boki was best on ground by as big a margin as you could possibly get someone being best on ground. He was an absolute superstar on the weekend. Robbie Gray with 4 goals. He just keeps on keeping on, which is fantastic. Matty White with his fantastic pace, and that goal was just incredible at full pace, taking 3 bounces, and the ability to slot that goal after running what would have been 110 metres, just phenomenal.
In the last quarter too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hamish Hartlett I had as 4th best. I thought he had a pretty good game. Kicked a nice goal as well, and I too had Jasper Pittard as 5th best. I thought he was fantastic on the weekend, even though he had the worst shot at goal in the history of the sport. The run that he gave us in the first half I thought was really important, even though no one else was doing it, and I don't think he really put a foot wrong outside of that shot on goal. So yeah, he was fantastic again, and that's probably what the 6th out of the last 7 games he's been in my best players. So he's in some fantastic form.
He did have that fumble from that average kick that resulted in a turnover goal too, but
yeah,
you're not supposed to mention that one, Rick.
well, I've got to be neutral. I can't be too biased all the time.
I like your impartiality, Rick. It's
but
Very convincing.
But look, yeah, I probably robbed Hamish there, Macca, because I did notice him on the weekend, and I actually thought that was the 2nd game in a row where the intensity that he brought to the pack and the ball is probably a new level for Hamish that he just needs to keep going now. I thought he was very hungry to smash those packs and try and get the ball and really impact the body contact. So I was really impressed with that side of the game from Hamish. So, I thought Jasper run and try hard too in what was a pretty difficult circumstance.
That's it. Look, just before we let Dylan go, Sammy Gray and Kane Mitchell, do they keep their spots this week?
No. You can't justify it. I mean, Kane Mitchell, I guess he works as a sub, but I think I'd put Aaron Young back there. He was all right, but I mean, put him as a sub. He's the perfect sub. Bring in a couple of tools for Sam Gray and Kane Mitchell, and there's a bit of the structure fixed up.
Yep.
This is where I'm a bit disappointed with Aaron Young. I mean, what was his end result for the game, Macca? Do you know off the top of your head?
Well, he had 15 touches. I thought when he got the ball, something good generally happened. He played a part in probably 3 or 4 goals, I thought. But, yeah, I mean, everyone's been calling out for him to have full games, and I don't think he really delivered this week.
No, this is what's frustrated me with these guys. I love them, and Andrew Moore's something similar as well. Obviously, he's injured this year, so he hasn't had that consistency. But just that type of player, when they're getting their opportunity, they're not coming in and just forcing it to be, I want this spot on the side, and I don't care who I'm keeping out. I'm gonna keep it. It's not enough, and he should have been influencing the game a lot more than that. And look, I agree with your outs that you're talking about, and I really hope we need more contested ball winners. So I really hope that Benny Newton gets an opportunity this week. He has to. Even Paul Stewart with what he backed up. We need those mature potties coming into the side now to influence our game.
All right, well, we'll leave that there for now for the AFL part. Dylan, thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
No worries. We'll have you on again soon.
No worries, boys.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheer the black and the white. Honour the Magpies day and by night. Live that loyal.
All right, SANFL and Port Adelaide played North Adelaide at Alberton Oval on Saturday. It wasn't a great result again, with Port Adelaide going down by 2 points, 14 goals 8 to 13 goals 16. Looking at the goal kickers, Carl Amon had his best game of footy with 4 goals. Mitch Harvey kicked 2, as did Johnny Butcher as well. A bit of a different game. We burst out of the blocks again, as we seem to do every week, with a 5-goal first quarter. We had a 19-point lead at quarter time. Again, as we do in the second quarter, North pegged us back. It was pretty even throughout the second half. North hit the front, and then Benny Newton kicked a goal around about 20 minutes into the last quarter to give us a 2-point lead. And from that moment on, North played the game pretty much entirely in their forward 50. They played man on man and really choked our space, and we were just unable to get the ball out. And they were able to score 4 behinds in a row to win the game by 2 points.
Boo, the Poosters.
Boo. Absolutely.
So,
Kind of a disappointing effort because, we just didn't seem to try and create something coming out of defence in that last 10 minutes there.
Well, it sounds like the coaches were also critical of the big boys up forward as well. They didn't. Yeah, I read a couple of comments where I'm pretty sure they were suggesting that they probably didn't present hard enough and long enough for the whole game, which is probably a bit disappointing for us from the senior level, considering that's what we're crying out for, and the boys aren't doing it if that's the case. But yeah, I guess.
I mean, Mason Shaw, he was disappointing. Everyone was calling for him to get a game in the AFL, but yeah, I still don't think he's ready. He had just the 8 kicks and kicked a goal. Johnny Butcher wasn't too bad. He kicked a couple of goals and had 4 or 5 marks. Played a little bit in defence and in the ruck as well. Mitch Harvey had his best game for about 2 months. I thought his game was really, really good. He had 2 goals and 7 marks as well.
Yeah, and I didn't Benny Newton pick up a bit of a knock during the game, but sort of played it out.
He did, yep. Yeah, he copped a knock in the first half, I think, and played it out. He played pretty well again. He's certainly keeping his name in selection talks, I would think. He had over 20 touches and another couple of goals and led the clearances for the club.
Would you like to see him get selected in the senior side?
Definitely. I think that's something, again, that we're missing is another clearance mid, so either him or Andrew Moore. I think Benny Newton deserves a bit more of a look at AFL level, just to see what he can do. I'd probably prefer Andrew Moore out of the two, because I think he's a bit more ready with where we're at as a team at the moment.
So Andrew racked up about 20 disposals in his first game back from his shoulder injury as well, didn't he?
He did. He was very good, yep.
Yeah, so I guess it's just a matter of do we want to get a bit more run and a bit more confidence in his body before bringing him back up to the higher impact, or do we just throw him in straight away?
That's it. I mean, the other question I've got is, do we drop Westhoff and bring in the 178cm Carl Amon, who kicked 4 goals and took 10 marks? And look,
I'd probably rest Schultze as well, seeing he sort of looked like he knocked his shoulder, and bring in Darcy Byrne-Jones as well. What do you reckon?
Could do.
Yeah, I reckon it's a great idea, Macca. You're cooking with gas there.
Absolutely.
But and what about Paul Stewart? What a great way to come back from injury from him.
He had good figures, but he was pretty disappointing in terms of his ball usage wasn't great. He made a lot of poor decisions with the ball. But look, his figures were fantastic. He had 33 touches and I think over 10 marks again.
So was he running from the half-back flank, or was he playing pure centre?
I think he was playing more his normal sort of forward flanky quasi-midfield role.
Right. So I guess if his disposal was poor, that might work against him in coming back this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure he'll get a look in this week, to be honest. He might do for structure reasons, but I don't think he deserves a spot on that game in particular.
So, I mean, look, we've had the injuries which has sort of affected the Maggies, but the Maggies seem to be going through a little bit of a lull patch, the same as the power side at the moment, don't they?
Well, it's just a 5 to 10% drop-off all across the club at the moment. I mean, maybe we are training them too hard. Maybe it is fatigue, maybe the huge pre-season that we had going to Dubai and, Burjo working the players harder than they've ever worked before. Maybe it's counting against us at the moment.
Well, I mean, I heard numbers, and I think I brought this up earlier in the season with the podcast, that, the boys were running 80, 90 Ks a week or something. And when I had a brief chat early in the season to one of the former listed AFL players, not with Port, and I was talking to him about Port's training, he was saying that it's unsustainable for a whole season. So, Maybe if we did continue that workload for the bulk of the season up until now, maybe his words of wisdom are coming to fruition. Maybe it is unsustainable over the long term, but maybe that's the coach's strategy. Maybe it isn't their intent to really push for, a win this year. But why wouldn't you if you're sitting top of the ladder? That's what I don't get. But maybe maybe it is about getting the endurance in them for the longer good more than the short term gain.
Yeah, I mean, what are we sitting at the moment? 11 wins, 5 losses at AFL level. This time, at the start of the year, you'd take that at this time of the season. You'd think, bloody hell, that's a fantastic year to date. It's just disappointing from where we were sitting a few weeks ago.
So there you go. So we're 2 games ahead of where we were last year. Yep. And I reckon if we proposed that before the season started, a lot of us would have taken that, I would imagine.
Oh, every day of the week, absolutely. It's just disappointing from being 2 games clear on top, and then 5 weeks later we're 3 games behind.
Absolutely.
It's very disappointing.
So having that lollipop and the parents taking it away from you, you just want to scream, don't you?
Indeed, absolutely.
But I mean, Carl Amon, you must have been pretty impressed with his game for 4 goals.
He's been growing and growing all year. He's had a fantastic season for his first year at the club, I thought. He was a little bit shaky early, but he's shown a lot of potential. He's very quick. He's a fantastic user of the ball. He can kick goals. He can take a big specky. I think he's got a lot of AFL potential.
Yeah, well, from his draft highlights, he looked like a fantastic player. So it's good to see that he's sort of getting there.
And the pick that we got him, I think he could be a little bit of a steal.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bargain, wasn't it? Mm. What about Flinney? How did he go with his game back?
Poor. He was poor. He had a pretty good sort of first quarter, and then he got a little bit injured in the second quarter, I think. And you just didn't see him after half-time at all.
Do you think he looked a little bit circumspect in relation to his report and his body contact with the game?
No, he was fine with his use with the ball. I think it was just he got a bit of a knock, and you just didn't really see him after half time. He was still on the field, but just didn't get involved in the play too much.
Right. I mean, even he'd be handy in the senior side if he was experienced and ready to go with his size and frame. But I guess so. Where are the Maggies heading? Are they? They're still heading for good success come finals time this year? I seem to think so. I don't think it's too doom and gloom just yet.
Well, it depends on injuries, really, doesn't it? I mean, if we can keep our players fit, we'll have a few other players sort of come back in as the year goes on. It's just a matter of getting that double chance and going from there.
So what about Brendan? How did he go on the weekend, our buddy?
A little bit of a step back. Yeah, just the 12 or 13 touches and a goal.
Okay, so yeah, it's quite interesting where we're at as a club, and I'm looking forward to our preview on Thursday. But yeah, I guess there's one thing I reckon we should talk about just quickly, Macca. See the Kane Corns report. Yep. I'm pretty disgusted. I'm disgusted, to be honest. There was nothing in that, and I know you said on the forum it was silly, but it wasn't even like the Kane Mitchell elbow to the back. He was just sort of running past, and he was almost just feeling for body contact more than anything. And Jackson's just dove to the ground trying to get a free kick to get the ball back into their possession, and the field umpire didn't get sucked in by it. And I can't believe they've actually reported that. If that's what modern football is about, we might as well just give up now.
What is you see reports every week of things like this, and that was my whole point on the forum, was that you see this every week. The players need to become aware of this and just not do it. I mean, every 3 weeks it seems that one of our players gets reported and sometimes suspended for something that is completely avoidable.
What was he actually reported for, though? What was the report?
I don't even know. I'm not even sure.
Because from what I could see, it seemed to be an open palm to his back, and he just sort of pushed him. That's what my example in the forum today was, the pushing the back to Pittard after he had that horrendous kick at goal. Yes, that's right. I'll repeat it. The horrendous kick at goal. I'll admit that. Yeah, but that had more force in it than what that cane cords pushed in.
I don't know. It looked like more of a rib tickler to me. I don't know. It did sort of look like a more of a punch than push to me, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just think our players need to be smarter because it happens too often. You know, as I said, every 3 weeks it seems that one of our players is getting reported for some stupid thing behind the play. You know, just don't do it. Then you won't get reported.
Yeah, well, I guess if you perceive it as a sort of like a strike to the ribs, well, then yeah, I can see where you're going with it. I guess from my perspective, it was just really, to me, it just looked like an open palm in the back. I mean, I'll be honest, I saw the replay twice on our forum, and that was it. So I didn't study it in any great detail, but I just think it's a bit farcical. And you know, I mean, there has to be a bit of physicality.
It's stupid that these sort of things are getting reported. You know, I mean, when players are getting, you know, I mean, when Andrew Walker gets let off for elbowing Westhoff in the face in round 1 just because he was going for a mark. I mean, you know, it's ridiculous that these sort of things are getting reported.
Absolutely, if they want to talk about the supporters, you know, not coming to the games or feeling disenfranchised with the game or whatever, maybe they just need to look at their consistent rule changes and their interpretation. I mean, their intent to really withdraw physical contact from the game of choice, which is physical contact in nature, is sort of a bit of an oxymoron, and really, you know, that's part of the problem. I think, you know, and as a supporter, I'm frustrated. Am I not going to go to the game on Sunday because Kane Corns nearly got reported? No, you know, I'm still going to go to the game because I love my footy club and I want to support the players go on and get a win this week. But I can see why people are getting increasingly frustrated and maybe making that choice. You know what? I'm just going to stay at home and watch it on TV rather than go live and watch it at game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mate. Well, I reckon we might leave it there for now.
Pleasure, and I appreciate you being patient with me.
Oh, good, buddy.
It's a crazy couple of weeks, and it should go back to a little bit of normality soon.
Indeed. All right, mate. Go to the power.
Go to power. See you Thursday.
Back goes Salisbury for Glenelg. Marnie tackles Brown. Drives towards the goal square. Grenville gets back there for Glenelg.